What's up everybody, Dan here with Dan and Sarah Makers, and we are back to our hammer series. We're on hammer number 5 for our hammer comparison of framing hammers. Today we are looking at the Dalluge 16-ounce titanium framer. So this is another lightweight hammer in the series. This is our second titanium and second wood-handled hammer that we're looking at. This one's really unique in wood-handled hammers because it's an all titanium head and the handle is actually bolted on to the head of the hammer. So I could undo these two sets of bolts, pull the head off, replace the handle. This is kind of interesting because Dalluge has been around for a long time. They've been known as a really high-end hammer company. I have a Finnish hammer that I've used for years of theirs and I really enjoy it. But they are no longer a sole company all by themselves. They're now owned by Vaughan. So Vaughan has bought them out, and it's kind of interesting because this particular hammer is identical to a steel series that Vaughan makes. Instead of a titanium head, it's a steel head. So you can get this hammer in a little less expensive version with steel head, a little bit more durable, just because it is probably going to maintain the waffle or milled face a little bit longer in steel than it will in titanium. Or you can be a little bit more abusive, let's put it that way, with a steel hammer instead of a titanium. So this one here, it's a 16-ounce hammer. The head is all titanium. The strike face is titanium, just like that stiletto that we looked at the other video. It's got a magnetic nail holder. This one's actually the second one that has a special built-in side nail pulling attachment. It's similar to the heart hammer, but it's a little bit different in that the heart actually engages the nail in this position. This one engages the nail in the vertical position. So your pivot point away from the nail is pretty close with this hammer. So you get it in there, that gives you a really good pry surface here. Plus you've got your regular claw in the back to pry on. It has a magnetic nail setter in the top. The nail tends to have a lot of room to move around. Maybe that's because they wanted to give you the option of potentially putting like a 20 penny nail in there, not just a 16. But again, anytime the nail's not really secure, that makes me feel like if you don't hit it just right, you might have that nail glance out of there and go flying off, and you'll wait for it, and then you'll hear it hit somewhere on the other side of the building and hopefully not hit anybody. But been there, done that. So overall, it's a pretty nice hammer. Like I said with the titanium, the stiletto titanium hammer, look at the grain pattern on the handle. You want it either running this way or potentially a 45. So look at the different hammers that they have available before you just grab the first one off the shelf and go. Look at the wood. They're not all the same. But take that into heart, or take that to heart as you look at your hammers. So 16-ounce head, all titanium. We are looking at 22.5 ounces overall. Again, being that it's wood, it's not going to be absolutely identical from hammer to hammer. There will probably be a little bit of variation. This one here, since it is new, I would probably sand it down, get all the lacquer and varnish off of it, treat it with some boiled linseed oil, potentially kerf up the handle a little bit, roughen it up, either with some heavy sandpaper, or I've taken to just getting a really fine-tooth hacksaw blade and just kind of going across it in kind of a cross checker pattern, much like the face of the hammer, kind of at a 45-degree opposing angles. So we will take this on outside, see what we think of it, and let's see here. The head length is 5.5 inches, so we're starting to get kind of short there on using it reliably as a measuring distance for our nail schedule, but you should be able to guesstimate what a 1/2 inch is, so you can still use it that way. And then overall length, we're looking at just a 17 3/16 inches. I don't know, with wood handles, I haven't measured one to another. They may vary 1/8 of an inch. They may be absolutely dead on, but that's kind of a good feature. One thing to mention though, with a standard like a bent or straight handled carpenter wooden handled hammer, you can go and get replacement handles typically at a store, and you could possibly get generic ones to fit your standard hammerhead, whittle them down, make them work. With this hammer, if you break the handle, you're going to need to find an actual Vaughan or Dalluge hammer handle to replace this, and I have not seen a lot of them floating around at stores recently, so that might be a little bit of a challenge. Price point for these is let's see, about $98, so we're right at that $100 mark for this particular hammer. So we'll take it out, give it a try, and we'll see what we think. Okay, the mighty Dalluge. So again, we drove this, ran some nails into that really hard piece of wood out there. There's some pieces of nail ripped off in the waffle on here. So we drove some nails into that really hard piece of wood, tried to pull some nails. I don't know about this one. It's kind of an awkward handle. I felt like I was having to fight it to hold on to it. Again, it's got the factory varnish on it. Sand it off, maybe put some little grippiness on here and put some boiled linseed oil on here. That might make it feel a little bit better, but I kind of felt like I was fighting to hold on to it, which I want to concentrate on swinging the hammer, not trying to grip it to keep it from flying out of my hand as I'm doing it. So I like the nail puller on this. That's kind of a neat feature. The overall of this hammer, it's not too bad, but I wouldn't say it's my favorite. But beyond that, it's a little bit pricey, lightweight. It might excel really, really well at 2x4, 2x6 standard wood wall framing and sheeting. The head is flat, which I didn't mention previously. That allows you to get in a little bit closer to corners and stuff like that. When you're nailing top plates and bottom plates, sill plates, mud sills, whatever you want to call them, onto studs when they're laying down on top of a slab or a deck, this allows you to get a little bit closer to the deck. Not that you necessarily want to nail that close, but you can. And then into corners and things like that. So, yeah, I don't know if I would go with this one if I were to. I'm not sure off the top of my head if they sell this with a curved handle. If they do, I definitely would prefer that, just because it would hold a little bit better. It feels kind of short, it feels kind of light, just the mass doesn't feel like it's out there. So maybe if they had the curved handle and then the steel head, which obviously is less expensive than the titanium, so you get a little bit more weight, maybe a little bit more less of a fight to hold on to the hammer. That's just me though. If you have any impressions on this hammer, if you've used it, if you own one, I would love, and I'm sure other people would love to hear pros and cons about this. When we start getting into hammers like this, it's a pretty good investment. I mean, that's a decent percentage of a paycheck. If you're getting paid well, it's 10-20% of a paycheck. So the more we get information about this from more people, the better for all of us. So if you've got any comments, like I said, add them. And be sure to like, subscribe, share, and thumbs up this video if you like it. And we will see you in the next one. So this is Dan with Dan and Sarah Makers. Stay tuned. Have a good one. Bye.